Hi there, and welcome to a brand new season of the Biz Live, sponsored by UMO Finance. So straight off the bat, I mentioned UMO. Thank you so much for sponsoring all of season 2, Mark Watts and the team at UMO Finance. We are so grateful to have you here supporting us and making this live show on LinkedIn Live work so well. This is technically episode 5, but we're calling it episode number 1 of season 2. So if you want to be invited to future seasons, there's so many ways to take part in future episodes. There's no subscribe button, as you may see it traditionally on LinkedIn, but you could subscribe to our new YouTube channel. It's currently being used more as an archive, but if you do go to our YouTube channel and you're watching live now, then please do like and subscribe. And if you're getting value from today, then do leave us a comment. And also, we would love for you to introduce yourself in the chat. We have got so many opportunities for you to connect and network. We often have people from all over the world taking part. We don't call this a broadcast, we call it an interactive business show. Our guest today is the truly inspirational Mark Colbourne MBE, who've had the privilege of knowing only for a few months now. He is a member of our Evo networking group, which is the mothership, as it were, behind the Biz Live. And he will be coming into the show in about 4 minutes' time. This is the format. We will meet Mark. We will have a chance for the house to ask some questions, and then we will come to you. So as the information down there says, please introduce yourself into the chat, say what you do, let people connect with you and network. But more importantly, please ask questions for Mark, because in about 15 minutes, we will be asking as many questions as we can fit into about 20 minutes. He is an amazing person, and I've had the privilege of listening to him speak about his life journey so far already in an amazing networking meeting. So again, please introduce yourself in the chat, because we have a special moderator. It is the show's co-host. She used to be my boss at ITV1 for a couple of years back in the decade, and did an amazing job with me, keeping me in line. And now we work together. And she is also an excellent moderator. So she will be moderating the chats and also conversing with you and finding those questions to bring back into the studio. And we can then ask Mark Colbourne MBE, who is waiting in the green room now, I'm pleased to say, and he may have a certain prop with him, but I'll leave it for him to tell you about that. So the format for the show, if you're just joining now, is a degree of repetition because people come in live. It is a working day for many. It's half term for some in the United Kingdom. And we are very grateful to you all for chiming in. My gosh, 29 comments already. That is live. LinkedIn Live, if you don't know, is a relatively new feature, certainly to Europe and the United Kingdom. We are one of a few, I'm pleased to say, so far who've been given this golden ticket. As somebody said to me recently, there are 675 million active users on LinkedIn around the world, and only a few, I can't say the number, but not many currently accredited LinkedIn Live streamers. I'm sure they will continue to roll that out, but we are so lucky. We were so pleased that we built a show around it. So please give a thumbs up if you're liking what you're seeing, and give a big one of those hands with the heart coming out of it, because I can't see it here, but you know that little emoji. It's there in the bottom of the screen. And welcome our lovely co-host and our amazing moderator, Sarah Brooks. Hello there, Sarah. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Jamie. Yes, I'm really looking forward to hearing from Mark today and his journey to winning a gold medal at the 2012 Paralympic Games. Wow.
Good stuff. Well, look, we've got a theme for today. I think last week we had a theme. We had Martin Roberts, the BBC One presenter of Homes on the Hammer. We welcomed Alison Edgar, who I'm very pleased to say has, subsequent to her first appearance on our show a few weeks ago, has been given the MBE as well from Her Majesty the Queen, or is in line to do that in the ceremony coming soon, we understand. So really excited to have Mark here. Tell us about this theme and what's it about today, please, Sarah?
Yeah, well, we're obviously all dealing with challenges and change right now. So how can we develop our personal skills to handle that and feel empowered by the process? So our theme today is change and mindset, how to feel empowered by change.
Tell us about the talking point as well, please, Sarah.
So our talking point is more of a thinking point, really, today, Jamie. if you check in with your own mindset, how is it? How would you like it to be? That's our thinking point today. But if you've got any thoughts about that, then please pop it in the chat.
Great. Look, thank you very much indeed, Sarah, and thanks for working behind the scenes and coming up with the themes and the talking points and also doing all the moderating. It gets quite busy. And actually, the majority of people the vast majority of people who watch this show on LinkedIn, which is our primary broadcast mechanism, if that's what we're doing, broadcasting, what do you call it? We keep talking about this. Is it a show? Is it a program? Is it a stream? We don't know. It's a bit of an amalgamation of everything.
Online casting.
It is. We're also simulcasting to our new YouTube channel as well. So if you find the repetition not too boring, we have to do that because people are coming in all the time, as I can see, then please do like, subscribe, as I say, in YouTube creator land, comment as well. So if you are just joining now, you're watching The Biz Live. My name is Jamie Breeze. Our co-host is Sarah Brooks. And our guest today is the amazing, and I do mean that, and I don't see you say that very often these days, Mark Colbourne MBE. We'll see you in 12 seconds. Okay, so Sarah, we're going to welcome our guest. You know a bit about Mark. I know him, as I mentioned at the top. I've just had a chance to get to know him over a few months. I've heard him speak. He's been patiently waiting in the green room. But I just wanted to mention before we start that we are part of a business called Evo Networking, and we're not sponsoring it, but the foundations of the Biz Live is very much business networking. So I've invited you to come along and introduce yourself in the chat, ask questions of our speaker, and also Sarah as well, and me if you like. But we would also like to invite you to come along to the launch of a new business networking group covering the whole of the southwest of the UK. And that's called Proteus, and that's on the 11th of November. So there's some details there. You can always go back after the broadcast when it gets reposted on LinkedIn automatically. That's where we get thousands of views, and write it down and then register for a free place. Or if you happen to be around in the southwest of England or elsewhere in the UK, if you're interested in doing business with the southwest of the UK, then why not come along to our Evo Sigma group this very Thursday? Mark has spoken to that group a few weeks ago, and that's why I know he's such an inspirational leader. But I can tell you, Sigma will be free for you to attend if you use this promo code. It's all in caps, online-rocks. Online-rocks. That's the promo code. If you use that, you'll get a free ticket. It will remove the price. And just go into Eventbrite and find Evo Sigma. Evo Sigma. It's a great networking event this Thursday from 8 till 9:30 a.m. Come along. We're going to have a great speaker, to be confirmed. Can't tell you yet. And we will welcome you with bells on. Okay, so Sarah, let's invite everyone to give a big heart emoticon or a thumbs up as we welcome our very special speaker today. Thank you, Sarah. Enjoy the moderating. See you in a few minutes. And, welcome, please, Mark Colbourne MBE. Hello there, Mark. How you doing, mate?
Hi, Jamie. Yes, my pleasure. Good afternoon. How are you?
Very, very well. It's great to see you again. I have to say, you're looking in fine fettle, my friend.
Thank you ever so much. So are you.
We're in our studio in Bristol. And where in the world are you? I think I may know, without being too specific, of course.
Yes. Obviously, the accent's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? Obviously, but based in South Wales, just literally 20 miles north of Cardiff, in the wonderful valley of Merthyr Vale, which for people who don't know where Merthyr Vale is, it's literally right next to Aberfan, which is obviously the very famous, valley village, in South Wales. That's obviously very well known, possibly for the wrong reasons. Obviously, through the terrible landslide that happened here in 1966. So yeah. But overall, it's a wonderful place to live, Jamie.
So we're gonna spend maybe 10 minutes having a chat with you. I've got some questions which I'm itching to ask, but I think before we even go into that, I just wondered if just quite briefly, if you will, tell us a bit about your background and how you take us to the point that you had this epiphany in your life, which I know you shared previously with the Evo group. Where were you as a kid, as a young adult?
Yes, well, obviously growing up in South Wales, and I suppose these Richard Burton dulcet tones, they give it away slightly. But growing up in South Wales in the 70s and the 80s was a great time for me because my parents were both working class. So, I've not come from a very wealthy background. My dad was a crane driver for British Steel, and my mum was actually a school caretaker. So both, you know, working class, just genuinely lovely people. And I suppose having that great upbringing with good people, lots of experiences, Jamie. You know, I think I climbed every tree and cycled across every mountain in South Wales, but it was just because I enjoyed, I suppose, the feeling of just movement, you know, just that feeling you get, you know, from being a child, you know, either playing football or riding my bike, was a great time. You know, it was a great time in my life, right up through my teenage years, you know, into, you know, sort of later in my teenage years when I went to college to study sports science, and that was just a passion for me, you know. And I'll never forget my late father saying to me when I was probably, I don't know, maybe 16 or 17, that I didn't have a stop button, you know, because I genuinely wanted to become a professional athlete. Always looked up to people like Daley Thompson, you know, just incredible, I don't know, incredible athletes, you know, certainly the Olympians of the 70s and the 80s. And that passion, you know, that passion never left my side, Jamie, you know.
2012 was an amazing year for sport, global sport. It was, to my mind and my memory, and it's 8 or so years ago now, it was one of the happiest summers. I remember it being encoded, or coded, if you will, by the Olympics and the Paralympics. It was something of such an enormous gift to the British Isles, the UK. It was such a special event. It was so special. I don't think anyone can forget the opening ceremony, and it was a distinct moment of pride, I think, for me and my friends, just to think that we were hosting, and I'm not even a sports person, were involved. We're so proud to be hosting this incredible set of elite games. Did you ever think when you were young that you would be there, as Sarah said, I don't want to spoil the punchline, but collecting a gold medal? Did that ever go into your mind when you were younger?
I think when you have a passion that's so strong for something, it never leaves your side. However, as you grow older and you know more information and you understand and appreciate how difficult it is to achieve, you know, such a, I suppose, something of that magnitude, to become an Olympic / Paralympic champion, it just, you feel it's just getting further and further and further away, you know. And I guess I always had belief in myself, having always competed in sport, you know, almost all my life since I was probably 8 or 9 years of age, you know, literally winning every race in, you know, in primary school and then into comprehensive. But I think just enjoying health and well-being, enjoying having a positive mindset. You know, I don't think I've ever had a negative thought in my life, Jamie, which is quite weird, you know, which is quite weird. However, I think into my 30s, you know, when I started paragliding and I was a keen rock climber, you know, I never thought for one moment that at the age of 42, you know, I literally would be representing my country at a home Olympiad, you know, albeit with a disability, you know.
Mm-hmm. We're getting lots of people commenting. Sir Ashley Fox has just joined the conversation and sends his best wishes. There's so many people here who are just literally, there's Mark Watts from UMO Finance. Good morning to you, Mark, and no doubt your family as well if you've got your half term. So many people are in. A former mayor here, Ian Porter. Ian has been on every single one of the shows. There's another person he doesn't know, the managing director of a £40 million company there, Tracy Carter. Lovely to see everyone here. Mark, if it's okay, I'd like to jump forward before we take questions from our attendees to that epiphany. I now know what it is, but tell us a bit about this epiphany in your life, which set you away in a very different direction, but all the way to, you know, the standing on the podium and breaking a world record as well at the same time.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. I think if I take the audience back, you know, to the 2nd of May, 2009, which was a bank holiday weekend, you know, here in the UK. I was a keen paragliding pilot. I was part of a wonderful paragliding club, and we'd arranged to fly, you know, for that weekend actually over the sands of South Wales, over the Gower Peninsula. And, you know, it was just a normal, wonderful, sunny day, blue skies, 21 degrees. Yeah, it was just a perfect weekend. And, you know, we'd been flying all day, enjoying, you know, just enjoying the experience with everybody else who was there on the day. And at approximately 5:30 p.m. that evening, whilst flying over the top ridge, you know, 40 feet above the grass, my canopy just collapsed. Just a complete, you know, freak of nature, maybe in the wrong place at the wrong time. But, you know, my paragliding canopy just collapsed, and I came down within about 2 seconds, you know, from 40 feet, hitting the grass with an almighty thud, and not realizing at the time, you know, having been, you know, dragged at the same time then for about 100 meters, uncontrollably, fully conscious that afternoon, unfortunately, I'd broken my back. So to be airlifted by the Wales Air Ambulance, you know, was just unforeseen circumstances for me. And then being told that night, you know, in hospital, that unfortunately I'd broken my back at the age of 40, Jamie. And I thought, really? I just couldn't believe it to start with. And that was just, you know, the end of one life, and I guess, you know, the beginning of a new life, I guess, you know. So yeah, it was the start of something bigger, something so huge that, yeah, I just never thought for one moment, literally 2.5 years later, you know, I would be, you know, entering the Olympic Park, you know, to take part in the biggest and most prestigious sporting event on the planet, you know, which was obviously the London Games. And I think having watched the London Olympics in the July, which I feel was a great warm-up, you know, for the Paralympics, and, you know, going into the Paralympics at that point as a world champion on the bike, you know, a world champion track cyclist, not odds-on favourite, but, you know, I think a few people had put a few quid down on me, and just going into the games with so much positivity, so much energy, so much happiness, you know, because London 2012 was only ever going to happen once. And, you know, for me, having broke my back, you know, 2.5 years earlier, you know, learning to cycle, albeit with a disability, it was now time to give it everything, you know, and just give it 100% and enjoy the experience, you know, which was paramount.
So that moment, 2.5 years later, that really had to sink in. I don't think somehow I hadn't clocked that. You did share the date when you had your accident. 2.5 years later to be in the Olympic Park, being part of that. You know, I've got the soundtrack for that opening ceremony. I've got it, and I play it still. I played it all summer. It happened to be very good, and it was very well directed by Danny, of course. What an experience. Just give us a moment. I'm keen to get to those questions, but I've got to ask you, as anyone would, well, I'm sure there's two questions everyone wants to ask you. What was it like to take part in the opening ceremony? And if I'm correct, the Paralympic ceremony was mixed in with the main ceremony as well? It was a combined event.
But the astonishing thing is with the Paralympics, which, you know, was just an iconic moment, you know, for sport, not only in the UK but across the world. But even though a large majority of the Paralympic GB athletes went to the opening ceremony, I was actually told that I couldn't go. So when my coach sat me down and said, "Mark, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to go to the opening ceremony," I thought, why not? And then I realized that I was actually racing the next day in my first race. So
I just told him to get on his bike. You must have sneaked in. Come on, you can tell us.
No, honestly. So we watched obviously the opening ceremony from the apartment in the Olympic and Paralympic Village where we were staying. You know, so it was frustrating, but obviously we understood it was part of the process because, you know, we needed a really early night to make sure then that, you know, we were ready for the next day for the first race. You know.
Okay. So you had, you know, obviously, I would say, not when I know nothing, I'm a dummy, but I would be very disappointed by that. But then again, I'd be focused on the task in hand. At least I know I would be. You certainly were. Because then what happened? Tell us about that moment when you were in the velodrome. I've seen the video footage, of course, a couple of times now. Quite a moment. What was that like as you were doing that last couple of laps and you started to hear the Well, you must have. I won't say anything. You tell us.
Yes, well, I was very privileged to actually race in 3 races in the Paralympics, and going into the games, as I said, as the world champion in my event, which was the 3-kilometer pursuit, or 12 laps, 12 laps of the velodrome. And my first race, which was the morning after the opening ceremony, was the 1-kilometer sprint, or it's known as the kilo. And I was privileged to take a silver medal, in that race, which was the very first medal actually won by a Paralympics GB athlete, albeit a silver. But, I gave it my best shot, and I was privileged to win that medal. And I guess to go down in history for winning, the very first medal at a home games by a Paralympic GB athlete, it was a great privilege for me indeed, And I guess racing in the 10-mile time trial, which was on the road, which was actually, I suppose, my preferred event, should we say, having raced triathlon, for a long time. And I took another silver medal, which I was very proud of. To lose by 12, well, in fact, it was 12 seconds over 10 miles was frustrating, but, I gave it my best shot. But
Cool.
the race for me,
good enough for you or nothing. and a golden post box in Tregeago as well, which I happen to remember. And also
so I think for me to race in the velodrome, in the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Velodrome on the 31st of August 2012 was just a day I'll never remember, because in that event you have 2 races. You have the qualification in the morning, and then whoever gets through to 4th, 3rd, 2nd and 1st place, they race then in the afternoon. So that morning, a young lad from China broke the world record in my event, because I was the world champion in that event. So my coach said to me, this young lad's broke the world record, this morning. And I said, how rude. and that meant that I had to break the world record, that morning in the 3-kilometer pursuit, to get into the final, which was 4 hours later. So we set the schedule, and I knew I was in good form, Jamie. I knew I was in really good nick. So I smashed the world record by 7 seconds just to prove a point, a point. So that meant, that I was into the final 4 hours later. And I guess that afternoon was a testament to everybody that had helped me from the moment I had my accident, such as the Wales Air Ambulance, Neil Smith from Disability Sport Wales, the team at British Cycling, Tom Stanton, Chris Ferber, all of these incredible coaches and I suppose support staff that don't really get the recognition they should, and if there's anybody that should have been awarded anything in the New Year's Honours list, it should have been Neil Smith from Disability Sport Wales, because of the work that he's done behind the scenes and just never gets recognised, So that afternoon, you can imagine, was a moment in time for me that I'd been waiting for probably 30 years, Jamie. Ever since I was a young kid, I just wanted to perform in front of the whole world. And I guess having done, the 2.5, 3 years, training was just an afternoon that I'll just never forget. Just a 1,000,001 memories,
Before we bring Sarah in, I'm just going to check in with Sarah. How are you doing there, Sarah Brooks? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm just really enjoying this chat. Thank you, Mark. Very inspiring.
I've got one last question from the house, which I think everyone would be interested in, and I heard this just recently. You're starting on a new business venture. I know you speak all over the world. I've seen testimonials from Rolls-Royce bosses. And I know you do so much more. Obviously, is it possible to compact the last sort of 7 or 8 years, take us right up to where you are now and what you're doing? And I don't mean like what you're doing now. It's like, I know that you've been doing some incredible things. Tell us a bit about it and what's it like now you've sort of hung up your cycling shoes for a time.
Yes, well, I think that the important thing to remember, first of all, is that in the final that afternoon, I broke the world record again. Now, I don't say that to impress people, but to impress on them that if you focus on the process, not the outcome, incredible things can happen. I would have never have thought that I would have broken that world record a second time, twice in one day. And I say this quite openly now that, when you think logically, not emotionally, that's when you can achieve some just incredible dreams and just incredible things in life. And I think after the games, after winning, you know, this wonderful Paralympic gold medal for Paralympics GB, to bring it
Which
back
is
home to
where?
Wales, you know. Yes, I brought it with me.
Let's have some thumbs up. Let's have the heart from the hand. Come on, everyone. Let's just have one of those.
So
Please.
I guess this was a childhood dream. Okay, it was an absolute childhood dream, and for almost probably in excess in total of 1,000 days of work, you know, constant training, constant sacrifice, you know, obviously giving up so much, giving up my job, you know, to train every day, you know, for that one moment in time. So after the games, I guess for me, it was, you know, about 18 months when, you know, when I retired after the games, because I genuinely wanted to help other people to achieve their dreams, because my dream's in the box, you know, I've already achieved it. And to go on and help other people, to teach people resilience, you know, to help people through adversity, to embrace change. This is really important, because change will always happen. Okay. So for us as human beings, you know, this year, 2020, has been the biggest change and evolution for us ever, to literally put the whole world on stop. You know, every single person on the planet's gone through some form of change this year, you know. So it's a privilege for me as a speaker, as a coach, and certainly launching our business now in January, you know, an exclusive, you know, a very different business that designs and builds, you know, off the wall websites, you know, for people all over the UK and all over Europe, but with a twist. And the twist is obviously they get access to me, they get access to my coaching, my mentoring, my mindset. And, you know, and that's a great thing for me, to help people create that lasting change.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, so you are watching The Biz Live. My name is Jamie Breeze. That's Mark Colbourne MBE. There's Sarah Brooks. She's moderating some questions. We'll see you in 6 seconds. Okay, Sarah, we've got lots and lots of questions.
Yeah.
Mark, are you ready?
Yeah.
Big shout out, of course, to Mark and his team. Thank you, UMO Finance, for making this season happen. Over to you, Sarah. Thank you, Mark. Keep your comments coming in, keep your questions, keep your introductions, because this is fantastic.
We'll try and get through them all, because it's coming thick and fast here, Jamie. I mean, obviously, Mark, you've got incredible self-belief. You said you've always had belief and you've never had a negative thought. I'm sure everyone wants to know, you know, what's your secret? How did you get to that?
I think it's understanding that, you know, we actually have two people in our minds. We have our human, you know, ourselves, and then we have the voice that Professor Steve Peters calls the chimp, which is the primate voice that we all have. And because the primate voice thinks emotionally, okay, it's so easy to let that voice take control of your life. However, if you take control as a human being, then you get to do what you want. Okay, if you want to be successful, you just find out who's done it before and just do it better. And that's why going into British cycling, I knew that British cycling had replicated, you know, world and Paralympic champions before me. So I had to have belief in the organization. I had to have belief in the process, and then just belief in me doing the process, if that makes sense. Otherwise, the four pillars of change, or the four pillars of apprehension, fear, doubt, and uncertainty, that's when it all kicks in. So it's just taking control, you know, of your mindset, you know, without allowing that inner voice, you know, to take control. Listen to it, because it's always going to be with you, but manage it, have a relationship with it. Okay, maybe even give it a name, which is what some people do, you know. But yeah, just manage your mindset.
I can see there, Mandy Withers there. The Valleys is a great place to grow up, great community spirit. I remember the town came out to congratulate Mark. They even painted the postbox gold. Sarah, what questions have you got, and who are they coming from? And we will bring them up on screen as well.
So Kelly East has asked, do you ever find yourself hitting a brick wall? I think she means that metaphorically. I presume you haven't had any further accidents, but do you ever find yourself, you know, that happens to you, and what do you do to get through that?
Yes, I think it's important to plan, you know, obviously your week, your month, your year, and sometimes even plan hourly, you know, because you're in control. That's what I said just now, you're in control. And there's an old tip, you know, that I can give people, is to actually ask yourself the question, do I want? Okay, do I want? So the human then makes the decision on facts, not emotion. And sometimes, I guess, yes, you know, you're gonna find that brick wall, but that brick wall is only a matter of change. Okay, it's not stop, the end. It's just change. There's going to be something different, and that's when the human has to make that decision. And as long as you continue to make factual decisions and logical decisions, not emotional decisions, then that's when you get what you want as a human being, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Adrian Edmonds has asked, how important are goals and planning? You've just referenced planning there to achieve your dreams. And in regard to mindset and adapting change, I mean, you've been talking about that, but you know, what about when you've talked about adapting to change? How do you then move forward from that point?
Yeah, so a dream is the bigger picture. Okay, so a dream is the ultimate goal, whatever that goal is. But there's going to be lots of micro goals along the way. You know, we call this in, you know, obviously in sport, the marginal gains. You know, it's all the small differences that can make all the difference. You know, all those 1%. So if the ultimate goal is to, I don't know, achieve something great, you know, lose some weight, go and run a half marathon, whatever that dream is, you have to have micro goals in between to get you there. Does that make sense? It could even be just buying yourself a new pair of trainers. Well, that's a goal in itself, you know? So yeah, planning is everything. And, you know, just making sure that you strip it back, you know, literally layer by layer by layer, you know, to ensure then that you see the bigger picture ahead of you, you know, and just visualize. This is really important. Visualize what it's going to be like. You know, we did lots of visualizations with British Cycling. You know, what was it going to be in the velodrome? Okay, what was it going to smell like? What was it going to taste like? What was the noise going to be like? Even the journey up to the games, you know, listening to crowd noise, because you have to adapt to when you have to perform just in that one moment in time, you know? Yeah.
Mark, you've given us so many wonderful thoughts there and mantras. What is your favourite mantra? What do you always kind of put at the top of your list there?
Yeah, I think the first thing for me, and it always has been, is gratitude. Because, yeah, I suppose 11 years ago, you know, when I became disabled, if I allowed my mind to become negative, and if I allowed my thoughts to think about my disability, then I suppose logically I would have never have moved forward, if that makes sense. But my mantra has always been, you know, just treat the world as you want to be treated. You know, treat everybody like your best friend, find common ground, you know, put a smile on your face, you know, whether you have money or no money, whether you have a job or no job, because the feeling of just being happy as a human being is priceless, you know, is absolutely priceless. And it all starts with the thought. It all starts with gratitude, happiness, which is a state of mind, you know, and don't allow that voice to talk you into being unhappy and negative, you know.
Brilliant. Just another question, Jamie, here from Mark Watts. What was the biggest adjustment you had to make when you stepped away from elite sport, both mentally and physically?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing for me was finding my driver on what my legacy was going to be. You know, my dream all my life for that 30-year period was to become, you know, a professional athlete or even an Olympian or a world champion. And when I had achieved that dream, you know, my late father always said, be careful what you wish for, you know, because when you've achieved it, you have to have something else to aim for. You have to have another dream, you know. And for me now, it's creating that lasting change, you know, and contribution, helping other people, you know, obviously helping Jamie with the networking groups, you know, my coaching business, my speaking business, you know, the business we're launching now in January called DigiMonkeys, you know, and it's all about helping people, but helping people to enjoy the journey, achieve their dreams, and have fun along the way, you know. And I'll never forget, just to finish, you know, a psychologist asking me a question after I'd finished on the world-class cycling program. And one of the questions he asked me was, what would you like written on your headstone? I said, sorry. He said, I would like to know, what would you like written on your headstone? And I said, well, if I'm honest, I'd not really thought that far ahead, you know? And he said, I'll give you a minute to think about it. And he did. And my answer was, I would like written on my headstone the words, I know I made a difference.
Brilliant.
We've got time for another 2 or 3 questions here, Mark, if you're good for that as well. But in the meantime, just for those who are joining in, it's a live show. It's during the working day for many. Can we just give you another thumbs up for your gold medal? Is that all right? Can we have a little butchers as well? Something else. Let's get that in, Joyce. That's something else. Look at that logo. Look at that gold. Is it really gold, Mark? Is it?
Oh, gosh, yes. Yes. Well, it's a bit of information for the listeners, really. Maybe a little bit of history as well, Jamie, actually. So the medals for the London 2012 Olympics and Paralympics were the largest medals ever made for a games. They were proudly made in South Wales in the Royal Mint. Okay, and the actual medal itself is 400 grams. Okay, in weight, so it's a fair weight. 380 grams of solid silver, which is the base metal, and then you've got, I believe, 22 grams of gold that obviously covers it. You know, so yeah, a lot of history behind, you know, the medal itself.
Thank you, Mark. What other questions have we got here for Mark? And let's have them.
Mark there.
Great, yeah.
How do you manage a mindset where you have internalized a negative mindset through family contacts?
Okay, so if you think of the negativity that's in somebody's mind, that's just believing what they've been told. If my coach said to me, yeah, you're not very quick, mate. You're not very quick. Yeah, you're not very quick. If he said that every day for 2.5 years, I'm going to start to believe him. However, my internal belief was, I know my ability. I know how good I am. Okay, so I didn't need other people telling me if I was good or bad because I had self-belief. Okay, and that's so important. As I said just now, the 4 pillars of success: belief in the organization, belief in the process, belief in you as a human being. But the 4th pillar of all, and the most important, is having belief in you doing the process. You know, that's so important.
Thank you, Mark. Sarah.
And have you got any books that you would recommend people read to support the things that you're saying, and you know, what's inspired you?
Yes, most definitely. The best book that I would definitely recommend is by the Dalai Lama, and it's called The Art of Happiness. Because it's so important to have happiness and gratitude with you all throughout your life. Okay, you know, I've been, if you go back 12 years ago, you know, I had a fantastic corporate job, big salary, company car, all the bells and whistles, you know, and life was, for me at the time, I thought it was amazing, but it was empty. You know, my life was empty. And then when I had my accident, and then I appreciated what I did have, friends, family, you know, good people around me. And then you start to have that confidence within yourself, because you have to, it's what I call the warrior mindset. You have to then look into yourself to become that accomplished person. You know, it's so, so important to have the integrity, accountability, gratitude, thanks, you know, be nice to people, you know, to, you know, give out what you want back. That's a great line. Give out what you want back. You know?
So much stuff here, Jamie. It's incredible, isn't it?
I've got a question from one of our Evo leaders, James. I don't think you've met yet, but he has many things. He's a friend, but also a very, very keen cyclist. There's rarely a moment that he's not doing 100-mile cycles to Wells and back. He's also a retired two-star general, former NATO commander, and knows about speaking and leadership and decision making and mindset. So we've got a question here. How did you decide to take up cycling as opposed to another sport? It seems you have succeeded no matter what your choice. That's a searching question.
Yes, very true. Yeah.
Thank you,
When I left hospital in the September 2009, I started rowing, actually. This is a true story. I started, on the erg, on the Concept 2 rower, actually rowing indoors because, I've got a huge engine, obviously strong shoulders, strong back. And, even with my disability, my quads and my hip flexors weren't affected, even though only half of my legs work. And I could actually push on the rowing machine. And I'll never forget, and this is a true story, you can Google this, I remember winning the Welsh Indoor Rowing Championships 3 months after I left hospital, and back then, as I said, my late father thought that I was just crazy, but I just knew I had that belief in myself. So to compete in rowing for 3 or 4 months, maybe 5 months in total, but then I had to make a decision. And thanks to Neil Smith of Disability Sport Wales, Neil said, look, you've got probably a better opportunity to enjoy cycling, because even though I was a powerful rower, I'm 6'1", I was still probably 5 or 6 inches too short, for the Paralympic rowing team. So yeah, it's a great question, actually. And obviously I loved rowing, I really did. And I spent some time on the River Taff, actually sculling as well, rowing on the water, and it was great. I loved it. Just amazing experiences. But yeah, for me, cycling was obviously the better choice, and obviously the correct choice, shall we say, Jamie.
We've got time for a couple more questions. So Sarah, back over to you. Maybe have a look for the comments. What have you got for Mark?
So on that note then, Mark, are you still cycling? We have a question from Neil Brown. Have you decided on a new bike purchase? Are you still cycling, and are you still buying new bikes?
Yes. Well, I'm looking at some new bikes for next year, actually, because my long-term plan, going back to one of the questions earlier on about planning, is to go away to Spain, September, October next year, and maybe just spend 4 weeks, in the Costa Blanca Peninsula. So at the moment, yes, I'm tied between maybe 3 different brands, which is actually a De Rosa, a Pinarello, and possibly even a Trek. So yeah, too much choice, just way too much choice out there, But yeah, looking forward to it next year, actually. Something to look forward to, September, October next year.
Thank you. Okay, we just a couple more questions. We're bang on time. We're not going to overrun. But you know what? That's the great thing about having this platform. I've been chatting to the head of LinkedIn Live, actually, in New York this week. Having a lot of chat on the old LinkedIn, as you might expect to do, probably because I've been quite patient and persistent, and they've been really supportive. And there's so many new features coming out. And I do have to say, it's great to be able to have this level of interaction with people, and then to be able to say good morning to David Richardson, good morning, and to say good morning to Cindy Knight. Hello there, Cindy, how are you doing? And then some of your friends and mates are in here, and colleagues, I think, because they are commenting about having hurled your medal. I don't know how you get to do that, but that must be a rare experience in itself. Here's Phil Emmanuel saying, good morning, Phil Emmanuel from Cornerstone Finance. Hope you are all well. Thank you. And Adrian again says, good morning all. And Mark, our sponsor, says, great to be involved. Well, we're going to have one more question. You're watching The Biz Live. That's Sarah Brooks. I'm Jamie Breeze, and this is Mark Colbourne MBE. Okay, so let's have that final question, if you will, please, Sarah. Choose wisely, because we've got so many things to ask, and well, we've only got a few more minutes. So, what have you got for Mark?
Well, I think listening to Mark and everything that he has to say, there's so much content that he's shared with us today. So thank you so much for that, Mark. But you have talked about the pillars, and I think one of the things that perhaps we're all thinking about is those pillars, from perhaps thinking negatively and thinking, the gloom and doom, which, can take hold, let's face it at the moment. What are the steps that you might take from that mindset to a positive mindset? What are the steps that you could recommend that people take away today?
Yeah, there's some very, very simple tips, okay, from, you know, the best sports psychologists in the world through to the best coaches, through to maybe some people who I've met along the way, you know, who have now become great friends. And the one simple tip, believe it or not, is called act as if. Okay, act as if, because your mind doesn't know any different. Okay, if you tell somebody enough times that they are amazing, that the mind starts to believe it, you know. So it's making sure that you continue to tell yourself every day how good you are, okay, how amazing you are as a human being, because we tend to forget that these days. You know, we look to technology way too much, you know, rather than looking within ourselves. And there's a great saying, you know, for me personally as a speaker, you know, for a man to, you know, become accomplished is the first victory, you know, of your own personal inner self. So for people watching, for people listening, you know, just look within yourself and start telling yourself how good you really are at whatever you do. Okay, whatever that is, self-belief, you know, is so, so important. And then, as I said earlier on, is having that dream, having that passion, having that vision, and then going out and finding who's done it before, and then find out how to do it. And if you want, just go and do it better. You know, it's as simple as that, you know.
That's brilliant.
Okay, well, it's that time now where we have to say a fond farewell to our very special guest, Mark Colbourne. This has been fantastic. Normally I'm doing the vision mixing, I'm doing the sort of stuff here, and I've got to concentrate on this and that. I'm not multitasking because I'm a man, I can't multitask. But I managed to do it today and super focus in on what you're saying. I feel totally elated. And I did when I heard you speak recently. As Claire has just said, thank you, Mark. Your positivity and the golden nuggets you share are truly inspiring. And gold is that right word. So I just wanted to say, on behalf of everyone here, if we could give another hand with the little heart coming up, or a green finger, whatever you've got in the chat. Let's have a look what sort of options we've got. I can see hearts, I can see clapping green hands, thumbs up for blue. Let's have a few of those for Mark Colbourne MBE, who's been our very, very special guest today, Mark. And just a closing few words from you, because I know you'll be busy and you've got your new business and so much more. Our conversation, our talking point, our theme is about mindset. It's about change. Any last tips for people? I know you've dispensed so much wisdom, but just to wrap things up about change in mindset, you have experienced more change than anybody I probably ever met, and also elevated your mindset, supercharged it. Have you got?
Yes, very much so. I think for everybody watching this, okay, watching this live, watching this recording, okay, the first thing to understand as human beings is that we're only here for a short space of time. Okay, and I'll never forget my late dad telling me, I think I was probably about 10, you know, that one day in the future, tomorrow will be your last day. Okay, and what I mean by that is not to start a conversation that's very taboo, you know, or very dark or very negative, because it's the total opposite. Because the total opposite conversation for me is, you know, we only have so many months, so many years, so many hours left on this planet as human beings. Okay, and if that doesn't give you the kick up the backside to go and do what you really want to do, then you'll die with regret. And that's something that I'm not going to do, Jamie. And you know that, you know. So for people watching, you know, please have a passion, have a dream, you know, focus, plan it out, and go and do it. Go and live it, you know, go and enjoy it. You know, because when you get to 75 and 80 and 85, the one thing you won't have is time, you know, and as we both know, time is the only commodity we can never buy back. So, you know, enjoy the journey with a smile on your face, you know, give out what you want back, and just live it, because, you know, in my opinion, the best dreams happen when you're awake.
Coming from you, Mark, and sharing your precious time and advice and wisdom is great. And, you know, there's been so many great comments here. I see Sarah Pullen's come in there. She's, for those of you who don't know Sarah Pullen, or she's the managing director of one of the biggest newspaper groups in the world, the Trinity Mirror Group. She runs the whole of the, last time I checked in, she was running all of the Midlands, the southwest of England, and has been very supportive of some of my ventures, and as a leader of leaders is Sarah Pullen, I can tell you that. So what a great thing. And there's Jeff Partridge as well. Excellent. Thank you, Mark Colbourne MBE, making a difference. And thank you to UMO Finance for the invitation. There we go. So there's so many thank yous, Mark. You've really touched us today. And all I can say is a big, big thank you to you, Mark. A big thank you to Sarah for co-producing the show. Thank you very much indeed. And also, to wrap things up, it wouldn't be the same without either our sponsor, but even more important than our sponsor is, of course, all of you who've taken part today. And we know this is going to restream straight away on LinkedIn. So please do make sure, share if you like. If you're watching on simulcast on our new YouTube channel, then and you found value from today, then why not like, comment, and subscribe? But thank you so much to all of you for today. We will see you not next week. We are having a bit of a sabbatical. We're doing some forward planning. The next show is going to be not next Tuesday. I can try to say that after today. It's going to be the Tuesday afterwards. So do come along. We'll be announcing who the speaker is. We've got 11 speakers in the wings waiting to come on, and we'll announce what the theme is and so much more over the next week. So when you do see those invites, please do make sure you accept it and click on the Remind Me button as well. That's a new thing LinkedIn. We are piloting actually for LinkedIn in America. We've been given this thing to pilot. It's called Remind Me. So when you see it, click on it, you'll be notified. It will save me sending out emails and all the rest of it. So thank you again. Thank you to all of you for watching. And Mark, a last word from you. There we are. Good morning to you and have a lovely rest of the day, mate.
Thank you ever so much, both, and good luck to everybody, and thanks ever so much for watching.
Great. Well, we have a special guest in the green room, Mark. I won't tell you who it is. If you could stick around, we'll have a little chat afterwards with our special guest. And thank you so much, everyone. You have been watching The Biz Live. Hopefully, we'll see you at Evo Sigma this Thursday. Just go to Eventbrite, log yourself in, and use that promo code online-rocks, and we will see you on Thursday, hopefully. You're watching The Biz Live. Thank you again. See you in 2 Tuesdays' time. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye now.
Bye.